Picture this, the Adriatic Sea, shimmering like a freshly squeezed sapphire. The sun is high, casting a golden glow over the water, making it look like a scene straight out of a dream. This is the Adriatic, a sea that has seen countless civilizations rise and fall along its shores. That's where you'll find Croatia, nestled comfortably on the coast. A land of stunning beauty where the mountains meet the sea and history whispers through every stone and wave. Way back in the day, like way back, this place was crawling with Illyrians, the original party animals of the Balkans. They were a fierce and proud people known for their seafaring skills and their love of music and dance. They were all about that tribal life, throwing pottery and building forts like it was going out of style. Their craftsmanship was impeccable, and their forts were nearly impenetrable, standing as a testament to their ingenuity and resilience. Then, along came the Romans, always keen on expanding their real estate portfolio. They saw the potential in this beautiful land and decided it was too good to pass up. They strolled in, saw the beaches, and were like, "Yep, we'll take it." The Romans were masters of engineering and architecture, and they quickly set about transforming the landscape. Just like that, Croatia got a Roman makeover, complete with togas, gladiators, and enough wine to satisfy even the thirstiest emperor. The Romans brought with them their culture, their laws, and their way of life, leaving an indelible mark on the region. They even built a fancy retirement home for Emperor Diocletian in Split, which you can still visit today. Talk about beachfront property. Diocletian's palace is a marvel of Roman architecture, a sprawling complex that has stood the test of time. But the Romans couldn't stay forever. Their empire was vast and their ambitions even greater. They had other lands to conquer, other peoples to subdue. They were too busy conquering the world and inventing the salad, true story. As they moved on, they left behind a legacy of roads, aqueducts, and ruins that still captivate the imagination. As the Roman Empire went the way of the dodo, Croatia was left to its own devices, a prime piece of real estate just waiting for the next big thing. The land was rich with history, and its people were ready to face whatever came next. Spoiler alert, things were about to get medieval up in here. The fall of Rome opened the door to a new era, one filled with knights, castles, and epic battles. The fall of Rome brought a new wave of characters to the region, from the Ostrogoths to the Byzantines. Each group brought their own culture, their own traditions, and their own way of life. It was like a revolving door of empires, each leaving their own mark on Croatia's cultural cocktail. The architecture, the art, the very fabric of society was influenced by these diverse cultures, but through it all, the Croatian spirit remained unbroken like a sturdy beach umbrella weathering a sudden gust of wind. The people of Croatia held on to their identity, their traditions, and their love for their land, no matter who came and went. The Middle Ages were a time of knights, castles, and some seriously questionable hygiene. Picture this: knights in shining armor clanking around, castles standing tall against the horizon, and bustling medieval streets filled with people going about their daily lives. Hygiene might not have been their strong suit, but they sure knew how to live dramatically. But hey, at least they had decent bread, right? Freshly baked, rustic loaves that could make even the most hardened warrior's mouth water. In those times, bread was more than just food. It was a staple that brought communities together, a symbol of sustenance and survival. This was when Croatia really started to come into its own, forging a distinct identity amid the chaos. The landscape was dotted with ancient ruins, a testament to the region's rich history and the resilience of its people. Croatia was not just a place on the map, it was a burgeoning nation with a unique story to tell. The Croats, a Slavic people with a knack for farming and fishing, had settled in the region and were ready to make their mark. They were industrious and resourceful, turning the land and sea into their allies. Their way of life was deeply connected to the natural world, and they thrived by working in harmony with it. By the 9th century, Croatia had its own kingdom, ruled by guys with names like Tomislav and Trpimir. These kings were more than just figureheads, they were leaders who shaped the destiny of their people. Under their rule, Croatia began to establish itself as a formidable presence in the region. Now try saying those names 5 times fast. Tomislav, Trpimir, Tomislav, Trpimir. It's a tongue twister that could leave even the most eloquent speaker in knots. But these names are more than just a challenge to pronounce. They are a part of Croatia's rich heritage. These early Croatian rulers weren't messing around. They defended their turf against invaders, expanded their territory, and even managed to establish diplomatic ties with other European powers. Their warriors were fierce, their strategies cunning, and their determination unwavering. They were building a legacy that would endure for centuries. This was also a time of great cultural flourishing. Scholars and artists thrived, creating works that would inspire generations to come. The architecture of the period was both functional and beautiful, reflecting the values and aspirations of the Croatian people. The Croatian language took shape, with its own unique alphabet called glagolitic. This script was more than just a means of communication, it was a symbol of national identity and pride. The intricate characters of glagolitic script adorned manuscripts and stone inscriptions, preserving the thoughts and stories of the time. Imagine writing your shopping list in symbols that look like ancient hieroglyphics. Talk about impressive. The glagolitic alphabet was a marvel of its time, a testament to the creativity and ingenuity of the Croatian people. Monasteries popped up like mushrooms after the rain, becoming centers of learning and artistic expression. These sanctuaries of knowledge were more than just religious institutions, they were the heart of intellectual and cultural life in medieval Croatia. But let's be real, the Middle Ages weren't all sunshine and roses. The period was fraught with challenges, from the dark, moody atmosphere of medieval towns to the ever-present threat of disease. Life was a constant struggle, and survival was never guaranteed. There were power struggles, territorial disputes, and the occasional plague outbreak to keep things interesting. These conflicts and crises tested the resilience of the Croatian people, shaping their history in profound ways. It was a bit like a medieval soap opera, with alliances shifting constantly and enough drama to make even the most jaded reality TV producer blush. The intrigue and betrayals of the time were legendary, creating a tapestry of stories that continue to captivate us today. As the Middle Ages gave way to the Renaissance, Croatia found itself caught in a geopolitical tug-of-war. The Ottoman Empire, with its insatiable appetite for conquest, was knocking on Europe's door, and Croatia was right in the line of fire. Talk about bad timing. The Ottomans were a formidable force, known for their military prowess and their love of strong coffee. Maybe that's what fueled their conquests. They swept through the Balkans, leaving a trail of conquered territories in their wake. Croatia fought bravely, but in the end, much of the country fell under Ottoman rule. Meanwhile, the northern and western parts of Croatia found themselves under the Habsburg monarchy, which later became the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Imagine being ruled by an empire so large and complex that it needed a hyphenated name to contain it all. These were tough times for Croatia, caught between two powerful empires. But even under foreign rule, the Croatian spirit endured. The people clung to their language, their culture, and their dreams of a united and independent Croatia. The 20th century dawned, bringing with it a whole new set of challenges. It was a time of rapid change, technological advancements, and shifting political landscapes. The world was on the brink of unprecedented transformations, and Croatia was no exception. World War I erupted, and Croatia, still divided between Austro-Hungarian and Ottoman rule, found itself on the losing side of the conflict. The war brought immense suffering and devastation, leaving deep scars on the land and its people. After the war, the Austro-Hungarian and Ottoman empires crumbled like stale baklava, their once mighty structures reduced to ruins. The collapse of these empires marked the end of an era and the beginning of a new chapter for Croatia. And Croatia became part of the newly formed Kingdom of Serbs, Croats and Slovenes, later renamed Yugoslavia. The formation of this new state was met with a mix of hope and uncertainty, as people celebrated the promise of unity and peace. The idea was to create a unified South Slavic state, which sounded good on paper, a vision of harmony and cooperation among the diverse ethnic groups. But in reality, it was like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. The differences between the various ethnic groups were too significant to be easily reconciled. Tensions simmered between the different ethnic groups within Yugoslavia, particularly between the Serbs and Croats. These tensions were like a ticking time bomb, waiting for the right moment to explode. World War II only exacerbated these tensions, as the country was occupied by the Axis powers and torn apart by internal conflict. The war brought further destruction and division, deepening the rifts between the ethnic groups. After World War II, Yugoslavia was cobbled back together under the communist rule of Josip Broz Tito. The post-war period was a time of reconstruction and rebuilding as the country tried to heal from the wounds of the past. Tito, a charismatic leader with a penchant for fancy uniforms, managed to hold the country together for a while using his charm and political acumen to maintain a fragile peace. But the underlying tensions remained, like cracks in a poorly constructed dam. Despite Tito's efforts, the deep-seated issues within Yugoslavia continued to fester, threatening to break the fragile unity at any moment.